I'm Valentin Vydrin. We are presenting this project with Jean-Jacques Méric, my colleague from Paris. It deals with a corpus-driven bambara spelling dictionary. First of all, some words about the Bambara language. It is a language belonging to the Manding group of the Mande language family, Niger-Congo macro family, and it is the most important language of Mali in Western Africa, and it is spoken by about 17 million of people, including second language speakers, because this language is very much spoken as a lingua franca, and there are about 4 million of first language speakers. The Bambara orthography was created after Mali grew independent. It was created in 1967. Then it was reformed in 1980s, and there were formulation of spelling rules, and there was published a Guide d'orthographe Bambara, that is a book of orthographic rules. But only more general rules were formulated, and the very extensive gray zones were left, and lots of words are left without any indication how should they be spelled. And it should be also noted that Bambara language is a tonal language, as all Mande languages, but tones are unmarked in the current orthography. And we observe in the current orthographic practice that very many words have two or more spelling variants. Uh, and here is the map of Bambara. Bambara is spoken here in the central part of Mali, and there are other yellow areas in yellow. These are closely related Maninka, Jula, and Mandinka language. And Bambara language has a privilege that for almost 10 years already, there is a Bambara reference corpus which exists online. Here is the address, internet address of this corpus. And this corpus now contains more than 11 million words. Of these, 1.5 million, a little bit more, are in the disambiguated subcorpus, and the entire corpus is automatically annotated. There are part of speech tags, there are French glosses, tonal marks, and this annotation is performed on the base of the electronic dictionary that we call Bamadaba. It's also in open access in the internet. Here is the address where you can find this dictionary. And the idea of a Bambara spelling dictionary is very simple. We want to find variants, to identify spelling variants, which should be recommended as standard. And the main principle is that the most frequent variant is the best candidate. It's by default, because there are also some other factors which are taken into account. But this is a factor which this, is made available by the existence of the Bambara corpus. And our vision of the workflow is as follows. First of all, a full list of lexemes which have spelling variants was extracted from the Bamadaba dictionary. Then it was presented as a spreadsheet, an Excel file, and Jean-Jacques has written a script, and through this script in the search machine, no sketch engine that's used in the Bambara corpus, information on frequency of each variant has been extracted from the corpus. And some other informations also, I'll speak about them later. Then we have done by ourselves, me and Jean-Jacques, the first selection of the variants, and the resulting list will be discussed by an orthographic committee, which will be composed of Malian linguists, and also we are planning to participate in the work of this commission ourselves. And some details about how this work is being done. In the Bamadaba dictionary, there are 13,365 lexemes. This number changes. We add constantly information. And among these, about 4,000 have been found as with spelling variants. So a little bit less than 1/3 of the entire list. Then Jean-Jacques Méric has written a script which represents an automatic query in the corpus for each variant, and the following data is extracted. First of all, the total number of occurrences for each variant, then number of occurrences which are unambiguous, that is disambiguated manually or semi-automatically, then the number of sources in the top and the top 6 sources with respect of number of occurrences. That is only for the disambiguated forms. And also the number of authors and top 6 authors who use this form is also for the disambiguated part of the corpus. Then we've done the first selection. So each of us have taken this spreadsheet, and each of us sorted them and put indexes for each variant. Then we discussed our results and harmonized them. So which are the indexes, which are the marks that we are using in this selection? First of all, R. This means the recommended variant. Then T, a tolerated variant, that is variant which is also can be accepted as good enough to be used, although there is another one which is preferable and marked by E. Then index E means rejected variant, that is eliminated. It is not recommended for the use. Then there is also index N, but it's not very interesting for some technical spelling, writing orthographic variants. And index D means that this variant and the lexeme which has this variant should be discussed by the orthographic committee. And now those lexemes which have variants with marker D are put into the discussion list. It is the list which will be submitted to the orthographic committee, and out of 4,000 lexemes which were in the initial list, 1,366, that is more than 1/3, have passed to the discussion list. So it's quite a number. And the other lexemes, 2/3 of the original list, in this lexeme we also find a quite high number of tolerated variants. That means that the spelling dictionary of Bambara that we are working on, it will reduce the variability, but it won't eliminate it. There will be still a considerable number of variants, although we try to keep per lexeme not the number of tolerated variants, not more than one recommended, one tolerated, and we avoid to have more than one tolerated variant. And then this list of which doesn't have marker D, that is what is out of discussion list, it will be also made available for the members of the orthographic committee, so we can rediscuss some cases which even haven't been included into the discussion list. And here are some samples. First of all, the regular case for which is not lexemes which have not been put into the discussion list. Let me explain you how it's organized. Here we have two lexemes. One is come back, revenir, ou rendre, and the other one, droit de marché, that is market tax. For the first lexeme, we have 3 variants. For the first variant, segin with closed e in the first syllable, we have that it outnumbers two other variants by far. Yeah, for the uh, non-disambiguated corpus, for the entire corpus, it only almost 7,000 occurrences, which is 18 times more than the, the second, and by far more than the third one. And even in the disambiguated subcorpus, it is still 37,500 occurrences, which by far outnumbers two other variants. The same, the number of sources which used and the number of authors. So there is no doubts here that the first variant can be taken as the only one which can be recommended and tolerated, and two others should be rejected. The other lexeme, we can see that two variants, second and fourth one, have no occurrences in the corpus. So we suggest to reject them. And there is competition between the first and the third variants. And we can see that in the non-disambiguated corpus, the first variant has 25 occurrences and the second one 71. That is, the second one, the third variant is thrice as frequent as the first one. But when we pass to the disambiguated subcorpus, situation is inverse. That is, the first variant still has 25 occurrences, and the second one only 11. That is twice as weak as the first one. And the same about the sources. The first variant 15 sources, third variant only 6. Well, less evident about the number of authors who use these forms. The first variant 7 authors, the third variant only 5 authors, but it's already close to each other. And so we can see that both variants are frequent enough, especially here, very important, the number of authors who use those variants. So we have decided to consider the first variant as recommended and the third variant as tolerated. And number 2 and number 4 are rejected. Another sample, lexemes which were put into the discussion, which has been put into the discussion list. First one, Dunia and Dunuya, which means the world. Here we can see that the number of occurrences twice as big for the second variant, and the same about the number of sources. Number of authors also, the third variant is predominates, but here the difference is not as big. It's only 1/3, but still it is big. So we decided to ask the members of the committee or to select which variant they consider, whether they should be, well, normally we should propose TR, that is tolerated for the first variant and recommended for the second one. But we have decided to ask the members of committee, maybe because Dunia is closer to the original form in Arabic. In Arabic, it is Dunya. Well, so let's ask the others. And the other lexeme, closing, ferebo, ferobo, ferebo. Here the situation is less, well, it's comparable to the first one. The first variant is, if we consider disambiguated subcorpus, it's about twice as frequent as the second one and thrice as frequent as the third one. But if we consider the number of sources, the difference is already less salient. And especially number of the authors, the first and the second variant have the same number of authors which use them. And the third one is also quite frequently used. So we also decide to keep all the three variants to be discussed by the committee. Well, here's a small illustration, and I'll stop here. Thank you very much.